Alright, today I'm going to take a peek at Jim Lee's work on Gen 13. Not a whole lot of it, so probably going to be a pretty short video here. Alright, so I'm not entirely sure which was Jim's first piece regarding Gen 13. Besides that poster, Gen 13, previously known as Gen X. Then there was a name change before the launch of the series. I do recall a poster in comic shops that did have Gen, and then there was an X in here, and it had like a guard with like posters and stuff. And I think it was a Jim Lee illustration. Not 100% on that. My memory says it's Jim. I'm not completely sure. And there was another piece in the Art of Wildstorm perfect bound book. Had a lot of pinups, some bio stuff, and then some short stories, I believe. There was a pinup in there, kind of like Savage Land-esque, had like a T-Rex and all the Gen 13 members. But again, I don't recall the date on that, and I do own it. I couldn't find it. So yeah, and I think that this is the correct timeline of Jim's work, though. Minus the promo poster and minus that that single pinup. Actually, that pinup is in I have an older video. If you do a search for, which was it? The Jim Lee Artifact Edition. So if you just look up Jim Lee in my search bar on YouTube, you can find that video pretty easily. Yeah, and then I think it's actually the first piece in the book, so you get to see that piece in all of its greatness. It's actually a really, really cool piece. So, yeah. Anyways, alright, so Gen 13, this was, I mean, basically the hottest book in America, comic book-wise. And, let's see, 0 issue, so this would have been 94. I think this was also 94. So I think that these two issues here, these were fill-in issues that Jim did. Pretty much at the peak of Gen 13. He did issues 6 and 7 only. I'm not entirely sure the reason why. I think there was some speculation of just sort of swooping in on a book that was essentially the hottest book at his own studio. But also, you know, deadlines and all that. It could have just been Jeffrey needed some extra time to work on the future issues. And I know Ramos came in. Alberto Ramos came in and did some fill-in work as well. So, anyways, yeah, I'll get to it. Jim Lee, Gen 13. I don't have the other two pieces, but here it starts out Gen 13 0. Awesome cover by Jeffrey and Alex Garner, his longtime inker. Starts out here. I don't really recall the story that much. I think it's Fairchild going on vacation. She's already flipped into just Fairchild, you know, like the hulkish, freakishly strong character. It's got a little bit of some flashback sequences here. As usual, unbreakable layouts and design. Jim Lee is a master storyteller. Even if you don't like his art, he's still every book he puts out is literally a masterclass of pages that work and several new ways of looking at panel work that flows. Yeah, so she's taking a trip visiting, I think it's the cousin, and cousin is with this guy. Yeah, he's kind of a jerk. Looks like he possibly, you know, beats her and stuff. There's a panel in here that kind of indicates that. Yeah, and then essentially, I think it's, yeah, that's what it was. So she's on the run, and they approach him, and he kind of sells her out. The cousin's husband sells her out to the men after Fairchild, and this is him. You know, she gets kind of mouthy with him. He kind of shows that he's going to backhand her, and then of course, you know, Fairchild stops him, hurts him pretty bad, and then tosses him, and in the process ends up getting captured, or zapped at least, by these guys here. Very short story in this. I think they were all like, you know, 8-page stories. There's a few others in here as well. One of which I do need to post it live. There is a story back here as well. I think it's the Travis Trey story, but that's in a separate video. So yeah, and then you see her get hit by, and the cousin has no idea about her powers. Essentially, she's the Hulk. She gets hit by this train. Cousin's flipping out about it, and then, to her surprise, she lifts this train up here. Really, really cool shot right here. Very effective. She tosses it toward her, creating a barrier between her. The cousin is over here with these men chasing her, and that's the end of it. She takes off. She's gone. End of story. I don't recall whether or not the cousin ever made another appearance or not. So this is just kind of a one-off thing. So anyways, yeah, you got that Gen 13 book there. Why did I pull this? Oh yeah, Jim Lee cover. So then you get to see right here as well, Jim Lee inking himself. This is a really cool little mech design. I'd be interested to see where that's derived from. At the time, during the 94, 95, basically all the studios were really, really into tech manga books. And so a lot of us were literally deriving designs from things like, Appleseed, Black Magic, Pat Labor, things like that. So yeah, I don't think there is a Jim Lee piece in here. He did provide the cover though of this Wildstorm swimsuit book, and I think it was, yeah, so December of '94. So this one precedes it. So you got Gen 13-0, Wildstorm swimsuit. Somewhere in the mix, either before these or after these, you got the Art of Homage Studios, which has that, like I said, the first page is that really, really awesome Jim Lee pinup of the dinosaur and the Gen 13 gang. All right, so then we got Series 2 of Gen 13, issue number 6. Again, this book was the hottest selling book in America for a long time. I'm not sure what the sales were at this point right here. Jeffrey's popularity might have been fizzling a little bit, but he's definitely still at the top as an artist. So yeah, Jim Lee, the fill-in issues here, 6 and 7. We'll just take a peek through here. And yeah, this stuff's, again, it's Jim's work. This stuff would work perfectly as well as just sort of like it could have been included like with the Wildcats, like the Absolute Edition. It might actually be in there. I haven't looked at that book in a while, but it definitely fits, the look and feel of what Wildstorm was doing at the time. So again, yeah, great storytelling. He was pulling a little bit from what Jay Scott was doing with some of the cartoony factors. Like this is not on brand for Jim. This right here, the silliness, this isn't something that he really did. He did it here on these 2 issues. There was a little bit like this kind of thing. This is not normal. Something he would normally ever do. He would usually stick to the the badass characters and badass poses, and not a lot of human element within it. And you got these. You actually have more than a short burst going on here, which also is kind of a little bit out of Jim's element. So, but yeah, he was pulling a little bit with some of the anatomy, the anatomical things, especially with the eyes, because Jeffrey was drawing very. Essentially, it was. A hyped up version of like Arthur Adams is kind of what I always saw his work as, and Jim definitely leaning into that realm. A lot of open line art. The rendering was used sparingly on most of this, leaving a lot of room for the colorist to come in and do some cuts and renders. Kind of just working to make it, I'm not really sure, just to kind of fit the book. Like this does not feel like a Jim Lee face at all. This feels very much it's weird, it almost feels like a Ryan Otogawa face. Ryan Otogawa was another artist who had a cartoony style at Wildstorm for a period of time, but yeah, still indestructible, still one of the industry's best. I really, really like this cluster right here. I like this whole design aspect here. So yeah, I think they're in Italy. in this. I don't recall. It's been a while. I haven't read these in 20 years. I just pulled them out and was like, oh, you know what? I should do a video on these. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, very cool, cool layouts, cool tech. He kind of lands back into the realm of his own comfort zone artistically by the end of this issue, and then the next issue continues that. Let's see, you got an advertisement in here as well for the Pit trading cards. These are kind of hard to find nowadays. Very cool, a lot of cool guest artists in there. Let's see, an advertisement for the Adam Hughes Ordinary Heroes series. I should pull that out sometime and take a peek. And then early Jason Pearson. Pretty cool little pinup right there. I feel like maybe this was actually an 11/17, so this is probably the actual size. I don't feel like this is a double page spread because Pearson actually is pretty good about fine line detail and stuff like that. Very much Michael Golden style. I would say Pearson, for me, was not on my radar as an artist until the Savage Dragon book, Blood and Guts. And then obviously, Body Bags is a super fun book that he created and put out as well. So, alright, so there it is, issue 6, and then we got issue 7, and both of these here are 1995, I think. Yeah, so alright. See an indica there from 95. Alright, so here's issue 7. This right here is an homage to the original issue number 1, and he put after Campbell right here. No swipey after Campbell. So, I didn't really mention it too. This is on brand Jim. For some reason, this face has never sat right with me. This one's fine. There's something about Caitlin Fairchild's face right there. It's always felt. It feels almost like a Scott Clark design. Doesn't really feel like Jim. But yeah, this piece is pretty much on brand. I love this intro page. I've always loved this page. I wish that book started out like this. And again, he kind of leans into the cartoony style, but not too much. Not enough to see that he's got a transition of style that might happen. You could tell in these panels and these shots that he wasn't really he wasn't married to the particular style. Like right here, you see that it revert to Jim's traditional Wildcats look that he was doing at the time. And then after this, what was it? Divine Right. Divine Right also had a little bit more of like the emote approach, a lot of funny aspects to characters. Really playing into like millennial culture and that. So. Yeah, these pages are cool. I have seen some of this work, the originals, and I will say coloring in here. So coloring in here is safe. The coloring on these books was definitely safe. It was a weird time period because coloring wasn't really in the forefront unless you were at Top Cow. Wildstorm kind of had a studio style. I'm not sure their palette, but it was like an acceptable style that was better than Marvel and DC at the time, and it was just a little weird though. They were a little more on the 30-40% brightness scale. Not a lot of shadow play with the coloring. Like you can see, everything is very, very brightly lit. I think colorists today would actually approach all of this work very differently. So, and this is a really cool thing here. A lot of knockouts and design work within the suits here. I'm not sure whether or not that was inked or if that was digitally, digitally added on those. So. And you can see they weren't doing a whole lot of knockouts. Things like this here today, you'd have the flash bang, you'd have the glow, and then the knockout lines. Like these would be pink or red lines. And they didn't do that even here. So that's why I kind of questioned this here, whether or not it was a colorist edition or maybe an overlay that they flipped, because they weren't doing it to the original line art that much for special effects. Again, doesn't really, this feels almost, again, like an Otogawa or like a Ramos, like fringe Ramos style. But then back here it kind of flips back. So I don't know. He was channeling something different. That face is way off. This doesn't feel like Jim. This entire page doesn't feel like Jim. Even this, some of these shots, pushing and pulling. But then back here, awesome panel. But anyways, yeah, the black and white line art that I've seen of this work, really really cool. Like I almost feel like the colors took away from it a little bit. The inks on it were nice. So yeah, so it looks like that's it for that. Let's see. Then you got a yeah, Del Keown full bleed. When he went solo with full bleed, you got an advertisement here for the trade paperback, inked by Billy Tan. Check that out. So yeah, Del inked by the old school Top Cow inkers is some of the best. Joe Weems, man, you guys kill it. Like dangerous when they get together on projects. Early early Brett Booth. And this is some of my favorite era of Brett stuff. It's the Backlash books, and then also there was the Wildcore books. He went kind of, I don't know, like bones started disappearing in characters, you know. But it was still fun to look at. I remember that game too. Yeah. So, anyways, these books are old. They're a little bit older. Should be affordable. I did read. I don't have the collected edition. There was a hardcover reprint of the original Gen 13 series, and it has other books in it as well. It was originally solicited that these two issues would be in that hardcover. A lot of people complaining these two books are not included in that Gen 13 hardcover. It's got a white cover, and then all the characters kind of place centric within the cover, kind of facing outwards in different directions. By J. Scott. Very, very cool art. So anyways, yeah, check it out. We got, all right, again, recap, Gen 13 0, Wildstorm Swimsuit 1 with the Jim Lee cover, and then Gen 13 Volume 2 issues 6 and 7. So anyways, thanks for watching.